She said that of all the people who would find their way to this place, she was the one who had been chosen to free the children. But she wasn't the first. Others were chosen before her.
What's the deal, my familia? The Don Tony Teflon is here, and I'm back at you with another from Season 3, Episode 2 video. After watching this episode, I really feel I have a good grasp on what's going to happen to some of the characters. So let me just say, spoilers, if you haven't seen it and you don't know what's going to happen, I'm going to break it all down for you. Let's have a pancake social in honor of our beloved Mrs. Liu. This episode is mostly about people coming to grips and finding out about what happened to Mrs. Liu. The other two major plot twists in this is Tabitha trying to convince Victor's father that she's telling the truth and that everything that she's saying is really what happened, and also Fatima and Ellis dealing with the birth of their child and her getting so sick and not knowing exactly what's going on. We're going to tackle each of these points one at a time, so let's start right off the bat with Fatima. Ever since this pregnancy was announced, Fatima has not been herself. We've seen her throwing up, and we've seen her going through the things that normal women would go through if they were pregnant, if they were very malnourished and pregnant. But this time we see a tooth coming right out of her mouth. Not just a cracked tooth, but it was the full tooth just falling out of her mouth, like her whole gums are decaying. After that, we see Ellis and her go down to the clinic, and it wasn't the person they wanted to see, but Marielle was there, and since Marielle does have some experience, she was able to treat them and figure out everything, with Ellis being very cautious about it because of the things that did happen to her. Number one, she was on drugs, and number two, she did go through with the music box, and we really don't have any information about exactly what happened to her during this music box situation. But after she gives them some type of elixir, she tells them, go home, you'll be fine, the baby seems healthy. Fatima then all of a sudden smells all this disgusting vegetables that they were going to use for compost, but instead of fleeing from it like a normal person would do, instead when she sees these decaying, rotting vegetables, it makes her hungry, and she chows down on these vegetables like she has never chowed down before. So what exactly is going on with Fatima? Number one, I'm not convinced that she's pregnant. After that, I think it's clear that Fatima is going to be turning into a monster. Earlier in the episode, we see Fatima staring into a mirror when her teeth fell out. And we seen the same exact shot done when we seen the Jasmine monster stare into the exact same mirror. And remember what Jasmine said.
It wasn't my choice to be this way.
So if it wasn't her choice to be this way, that means she was turned this way, and now she's just dealing with the aftermath of being turned this way. We also can see the importance of this mirror because when Pornstache first goes to meet Jasmine, they also show his reflection in the mirror. Now, I don't think these are cheap camera tricks. I think they're trying to tell you that Fatima is going to turn into a monster. But what type of monster will she turn into? Will she turn into something like Jasmine, or will she turn into the creature that Elgin keeps seeing? That seems up for debate, but I don't think the next part is. In episode 8, it says the edges begin to fray as concern about Fatima's pregnancy deepens. The episode after that, episode 8, says accusations start to fly and truths come to light in the aftermath of a tragedy. And I think what they're going to find out is that Fatima wasn't pregnant and she was being turned into a monster. That's why she was reacting the way she was, throwing up and everything else. And that's going to come to light, and people are going to have to wonder what happened to her, because I do believe Ellis is going to kill her. She's going to tell him to kill her before she does the full transformation. Dealing with Tabitha, we see Julie take her father to task, something that a lot of us want to do, but it was because he fell apart and her mother fell apart when Thomas died, and she was forced to take care of Ethan, and she does not want to have to go through that again, and told him straight up that he needs to get his shit together because she's not having it. She's also suffering from what happened to her last season. We finally see Tabitha talking to Victor's father, and eventually as they talk, she does get him to realize that she's telling the truth when she starts talking about the children in the tower. And that's when he shows her first Victor's bedroom, but after that he takes her downstairs and then he shows her all the paintings that we found out that it was Victor's mother that painted all these paintings. And she painted them before she went to Frumville. In the first painting we see the little kids, the Kui children. That's nothing new. We knew about them. We also see pictures of the talisman in the background when Tabitha and some pilgrim person. We see the diner. We also get a shot of the lighthouse. After that, we get a picture of a person in yellow, the yellow suit. That is a new one. We also get more pictures of the Civil War soldiers, and we also get a close-up shot of the Civil War soldier that tried to stab Jade when he had his vision. We see the children playing outside of Colony House to the right, and it seems like the church is going to explode at one point during this thing. We see a guy in the white that we don't see that could be the milkman, a different version of him, and then we see the boy in white as a grown man. And I will say that this boy in white as a grown man looks a lot like the guy in the yellow suit. Finding out now that there were multiple people chosen to go save the children, and this has been going on a long time, as they said, but no one has been able to save the children. When we look at Tabitha's vision of herself in the lighthouse and we see the dates there, we can line up the dates and say that these are the start times that these abductions took place, and that these people were put into place to try to save the children. The last one being Victor when he got there in 1978. Kenny and Jim, still on safari, seem to have found all this food, vegetables, out of nowhere. But we know that they're not out of nowhere because we did see these things before. Where did we see them? When Victor was in the cave with Tabitha and they showed the drawing on the cave, we can clearly see a spot here where they have a spot marked by a town and that there's vegetables growing there. And around those vegetables, we can see the totems that are outside the town that Jim and Kenny went to. After convincing Kenny not to go ham and go down into the caves and just try to set all the monsters on fire, something that I said that they should try to do, we do see Boy come up with a plan saying that he wants to capture one of these monsters, something else I said that they have to do. The episode then ends with Jim answering the telephone, and this time when he answers the telephone, he hears the voice of who claims to be Thomas, his dead kid, aged up to the age I guess he would be, or similar to the age he would be now. I don't believe that this is Thomas. I think Thomas is dead. If he died in the manner that they said he did and he fell off the table and they had a funeral for him, I do believe he's dead, but I do believe this voice is being used to manipulate him to try to get him to do the things that they want him to do. Now, whether they're trying to get him to do good things or bad things, we still have to figure that out, but I think they're definitely trying to manipulate Jim and make him do everything that they want him to do by saying that they are Thomas. Two back-to-back banging episodes cannot be any better for any other season, but you tell me in the comment section what you think, and if you like the way I do this, please thumbs up this, spread this across the realm, and of course subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.